So, in order for the teaser trailer to have an old world feel, what I'm doing is I'm drawing a hand-drawn map of North Syracuse and Syracuse downtown. Now, you may be wondering if it's old school, why I'm using a Microsoft Surface. Well, ordinarily what I would do is I would print out the map and then I would draw it on parchment. But because the surface area is so large and we are going to have a camera panning over it, have a virtual camera panning over it Indiana Jones style, where you have the little sort of plane type deal going over it. It made more sense to use Corel Painter because then you have a digital file that does not deteriorate and is not as resolution independent, but you also get the very, very realistic look of ink or paint or whatever, because obviously I was trained in traditional animation at Sheridan, and in my past life worked as an animator. This is the best of both worlds. Now, normally I would use a Wacom tablet. Surface Pro is new. I'm not receiving any money from Microsoft, but if they want to give me one of these, I'll happily take one. What I'm doing is I'm just hand drawing this map, and then the camera will pan over it, as I've said. Now, for crucial areas, as you can see, North Syracuse. So, and then of course when we get down to Syracuse proper, then, we'll have, we can still have our nice, you get the nice flexibility of a pen. So, at least my penmanship has not completely deteriorated. So eventually, so here you go, Syracuse. Give it some line weight, and of course if I, zoom out on it, then, whoops, didn't want to go quite that far out. If I go fit screen, you can see a little bit of the work that I've done. Obviously this is not where Syracuse is. I'm going to take Syracuse. I'm going to delete that. I was just doing it to show you. First, maybe I'll zoom in on. So you can see I've got my map underneath as a guideline. So if I zoom in on it, you can see what I've drawn here by hand. So what it does is it gives it a sort of a hand-drawn kind of look. So you've got Driver's Village over here, and you have the Wegmans over here for those of you that like grocery shopping, and the Price Chopper that's open 24 hours a day, good for late night candy runs, yeah, and then of course we've got North Syracuse down here, and obviously this is not Syracuse, but you can see when you scale down on it, it gives it a nice version. So worry not, I do know my geography. I'm just going to go edit, cut. Ordinarily I do delete, but I'm too lazy. So yeah, so you can see the nice thing, I can go over it and you can see all the line work that's been done here. So yeah, so it's important because you have characters. You have a character from Ottawa, Canada, which is very close to the Syracuse, which is very close to the central New York border, because Ottawa is only about 3 hours from Syracuse. It's not that far, so it makes sense that a border character would be going back and forth. And a lot of the action takes place in Syracuse. well, most of it really. Whoops. And you know, so there you have it. So we're just trying to get these little improvements dialed in because we're presenting at the Syracuse Film Festival on the 10th of October, and then we're gonna start more and more of this publicity. But it's still done by a mere mortal, which is me, and you're not gonna see me on GQ in this state at all. Whoops, I don't know why it keeps doing that, but you know. But there you go. So you zoom in on it, you can see it. So there you go. I always like calligraphy. I wanted it to have that sort of somewhere between a, if not a Victorian or Elizabethan look, maybe more towards Edwardian. And then if you look at, say, subway diagrams, you know, of, say, New York City, and the, you know, they have this sort of hard engraving. So it's somewhere in between the two. And by doing it by hand, so to speak, on a tablet, it's great because you have that flexibility and we can put textures on it and that. And, you know, but you still have the flexibility of being able to delete, which makes it wonderful in a deadline.